Hello there, this is Stacy from Stacy Rabbit Jewelry Designs. Today I'm here with Jesse James Beads as part of their creative team, and I'm going to show you how to make a pair of earrings with the November 2025 Magical Mystery Bead Box Evergreen. So let's get down to business and make our earrings. So in order to make these earrings, I've picked out some beads from the box. There's 2 hearts, 2 of these spacers, 2 of these little AB green rondelles, and then 2 of these drops. The other thing that I have is I've picked out a pair of ear wires. You can pick any kind you want. And I've also cut a couple pieces of 22 gauge wire. I'm using German style wire here. They're, again, about 2 inches. You can also use craft wire if you prefer. And then we will also need some 24 gauge artistic wire to do the wire wrapping on the drops a little bit later. So let's look shortly at the tools that we're gonna need, and we'll get down to business. So you'll need a flush cutter. We will need some chain nose pliers, bent or straight. And then, of course, well out of my reach, we're also gonna need a round nose pliers to complete this project. And if you're like me, you may or may not need a pair of reading glasses to see what you are doing. So I am going to set the drops out of the way, and we are going to make the top component of the earring using one of these pieces of 22 gauge wire. And these are going to be made with simple loops, so my suggestion is make sure you have a flush end here. That's why I cut it with the flush side facing the wire. That'll help you make a simple loop. So go down about 2 centimeters and bend your wire using your chain nose pliers to make a 90-degree angle. Then we're going to come in and create a loop by rolling that back with our round nose pliers. And don't worry if it's like gets a little bent or funky. You can reshape it if you actually don't like the look of the loop. You can kind of stick it in and round it out as well. So we are going to load our beads on. We're going to put a heart facing the loop, a spacer, and then one of the green crystals on the end. And then I want my loops, in this case, to be facing the same direction. So I'm going to orient it so I figure out what I'm doing here. And I am just going to come in and bend my wire. You can do that either with a hand or a tool like I did. And then you're going to just come in and trim your wire, do a centimeter or 2. And then we're going to do the same thing. So grab the end of the short bit of wire with your round nose pliers, and then slowly roll that back to make a loop. And one thing that I'll show you is if your loops are not exactly how you want them in terms of how they're facing, mine are not in the same plane exactly, you can come in with 2 chain nose pliers and get them lined up how you want them. So that is the first part of our earring. And just to keep everything together, I am going to come in and stop slipping on me. Just open that simple loop by twisting it and putting our ear wire on, and then closing that back up, making sure it's good and closed. And that is what we have to start with. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to wrap this drop. And like I said, we're going to use 24 gauge wire. This is artistic wire from Bead, but any kind of artistic wire that you like, that was great. I will never get that back together again. So I am going to use, I don't need that much. I'm going to cut a piece here now that I've destroyed the spool. Even more. I'm going to cut off this part here that is all bent from being on there. Now I have wire on the floor. These things always happen when you're doing a video. So I have a couple inch piece of 24 gauge wire. And I am going to put my drop on there and bend both wires up so that they cross at the top. And I did it roughly in the middle. We'll see how that works out for me, because I'm sort of winging it here. So you will bend one of the wires straight to the side at a 90-degree angle, and then the other one will bend straight up. So these two wires you want to make a right angle and look like part of a square. So the next thing that we're going to do is come in below where these cross and grab the piece. And we are going to just wrap this a couple of times. So something like that. It's about 3 wraps. And then we are just going to trim that off. We are going to tuck in the little end. And what I'm going to do is I am actually going to make a wire wrapped loop here. So how I'm going to do that is I am going to grab this piece with the very end of my chain nose pliers and bend it at a 90-degree angle. And I've hit this camera so many times, it's at a funny angle. Apologies for that. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers and go up and over the top barrel of the wire and bring my wire around so that it crosses like this. And then I'm going to grab onto the loop with one chain nose pliers, and I am going to come through either with my hand or another chain nose pliers and just wrap down to where my wraps are. So I have about 4 wraps total there. I don't like the look of that loop, so I'm prettying it up a little bit. And then you're just going to come in, trim off the excess, and come in with a handy dandy chain nose pliers, and basically just tuck in that tail. So this is what we have made. And all we need to do is attach that to the rest of the earring. So I am going to grab my loop and open it and just add that on to our design and close it. And so these are, come on, our evergreen earrings. And I am gonna make the other one and be right back. So I am back with the completed pair of evergreen earrings. And I think these would be actually quite fun for St. Patrick's Day as well. So thank you for joining me, and stay tuned to see what I create next. Bye.